From the beaches of Normandy to the frozen forests of the Ardennes, American tanks were the steel backbone of the Allied advance in World War II. These giants of the battlefield didn't just shape the fight, they changed the course of history. Today, we're diving deep into every major American tank that saw combat in the war, from the iconic to the obscure. Let's start with the undisputed king of American armor, the M4 Sherman. When you think of a U.S. tank in World War II, this is probably what comes to mind. Over 50,000 of these were built, making it one of the most produced tanks in history. The Sherman was a true jack of all trades. It wasn't the most heavily armored, nor did it have the biggest gun, but it was reliable, easy to mass produce, and relatively fast. Its 75mm gun was effective against most German armor early in the war, and its mechanical reliability meant more Shermans were on the front line, ready to fight, while German tanks were often stuck in workshops. The Sherman's tall profile made it a bigger target, a flaw crews were well aware of, but its versatility and sheer numbers often overwhelmed the enemy. But before the Sherman dominated the battlefield, there was the M3 Lee and its British variant, the Grant. The M3 was an interim solution, designed quickly when the U.S. realized its pre-war tanks were hopelessly obsolete. Its most striking feature was its unusual design. A 37mm gun in a small, rotating turret on top, and a much larger 75mm gun mounted in a sponson on the side of the hull. This meant the main gun had a very limited traverse, forcing the entire tank to turn to aim. While awkward, the M3 Lee gave the British in North Africa a tank with a 75mm gun that could finally take on German Panzer IIs and IVs at a distance. It was a crucial stopgap that held the line until better designs were ready. As the war progressed, American forces encountered heavier German tanks like the Tiger and Panther, which the Sherman's 75mm gun struggled to penetrate. The answer was the M26 Pershing. Originally classified as a heavy tank, the Pershing arrived late in the war in early 1945. It was a game changer. Armed with a powerful, high-velocity 90mm gun and protected by much thicker armor, the Pershing could finally go toe-to-toe with Germany's big cats. One famous duel saw a Pershing, nicknamed Fireball, knock out a Tiger I and II Panzer IVs. While only a few hundred saw combat in Europe, the M26 Pershing set the standard for American tank design for decades to come, evolving into the Patton series of tanks. Of course, not every tank was a heavyweight brawler. The role of reconnaissance and light support was just as vital, and that's where the light tanks came in. The M24 Chaffee was a fantastic little tank. It was fast, agile, and a massive improvement over its predecessors. It replaced the older M5 Stuart and brought a 75mm gun, the same caliber as the original Sherman, to the light tank class. This gave it a serious punch for its size. The Chaffee's torsion bar suspension gave it a much smoother ride, making it a more stable firing platform and less fatiguing for the crew. It arrived on the European battlefield during the Battle of the Bulge and quickly earned a reputation as one of the best light tanks of the entire war. Speaking of its predecessor, let's talk about the M5 Stuart. The Stuart series, including the earlier M3 Stuart, was the primary U.S. light tank for the first half of the war. They were small, very fast, and mechanically reliable, but they were also thinly armored and armed with only a 37mm gun. By the time they faced German tanks in North Africa, they were seriously outmatched. Crews nicknamed them Honeys because they were sweet to drive, but they were no match for enemy anti-tank guns. The M5 version was an improvement, featuring a new engine and transmission that made it easier to operate. While they couldn't fight other tanks effectively, Stuarts excelled at infantry support and scouting, using their speed to stay out of trouble. The sheer scale of American tank production is something that's hard to even comprehend. U.S. factories, like the Detroit Arsenal, were churning out tanks at an incredible rate. In 1943 alone, America produced nearly 30,000 tanks. This industrial might was a weapon in itself. While Germany was building small numbers of technologically advanced, but overly complex and unreliable tanks, the U.S. was flooding the battlefield with reliable, good-enough machines. This strategy of mass production was central to the Allied victory. This industrial power shaped American armor doctrine. The U.S. Army didn't see tanks as the primary tool for fighting other tanks. That job was supposed to go to specialized tank destroyers, like the M10, M18 Hellcat, and M36 Jackson. Tanks, especially the Sherman, were designed as infantry support and breakthrough weapons. Their job was to punch holes in the enemy line and exploit gaps using their mobility. The reality on the battlefield was different, of course. Tank crews often found themselves facing German panzers, forcing a change in tactics and an urgent call for better guns. This led to numerous Sherman variants. The original M4 had a 75mm gun, but later models, like the M4, A3E8, or EZ8, came with a higher velocity, 76mm gun that had better anti-tank performance. They also featured improved suspension for a better ride. Perhaps the most famous variant wasn't even American-made, but a British modification, the Sherman Firefly. The British managed to fit their incredibly powerful 17-pounder anti-tank gun into the Sherman's turret. The Firefly was the only Allied tank that could reliably take out a Tiger or Panther from the front at combat ranges. They were so feared that German tank crews were often ordered to target the Fireflies first. Let's do a quick comparison with the German Tigers. A Tiger was a fearsome beast. Its 88mm gun could destroy a Sherman from over a mile away, long before the Sherman was in range to fire back. Its frontal armor was almost impenetrable to the Sherman's 75mm gun. So how did the Allies win? Numbers, tactics, and teamwork. It often took a platoon of 4 or 5 Shermans to take down a single Tiger. They would use flanking maneuvers, with 1 or 2 tanks drawing the Tiger's attention, while others moved around to hit its weaker side or rear armor. They also relied heavily on air support and artillery. It was a brutal and costly way to fight, but it was effective. Finally, how did these tanks influence major operations like D-Day? They were absolutely critical. On the beaches, specialized duplex-drive Shermans, fitted with flotation screens and propellers, were designed to swim ashore and provide immediate fire support for the infantry. While many foundered in rough seas, especially at Omaha Beach, those that made it were lifesavers. In the dense hedgerow country of Normandy that followed, tanks struggled until Sergeant Curtis Cullen invented the Rhino, modification steel tusks welded to the front of Shermans that could tear through the hedgerows, allowing the Allied advance to break out and race across France. From the awkward M3 Lee to the powerful M26 Pershing, American tanks in World War II tell a story of rapid innovation, industrial supremacy, and the incredible courage of the crews who fought inside them. They may not have always been the best on a one-to-one basis, but their reliability and overwhelming numbers paved the road to victory. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into military history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Let us know in the comments which tank is your favorite. See you next time.